ايوه احمد نزل.
Good evening. Good evening. Can you hear me? Great.
Yes, I can hear you, Miss Hannah.
Thank you. You don't have to speak, by the way.
Okay.
Okay. Welcome, Tuda, and welcome, Miss Ilham.
Welcome, everyone.
Okay, I'll just wait just 2 minutes, waiting for others to join. Okay, I'll start in 1 minute. Miss Ilham, if you want to say anything, go ahead. You raise your hand. Miss Ilham? If you want to say anything, you can go ahead. Okay, Miss Asma, welcome back. Hope you are fine. And Teresa, hope you are fine. Get well soon, inshallah. Okay, so let's start. Today, inshallah, we will talk about teaching vocabulary. Okay, I just want to wait for more to join. I'd like to ask you, what's your favorite activity or what's your favorite way of teaching vocabulary? You can write in the chat box or you can speak. Ms. Teresa like cards. Great. Asma, go ahead. You can unmute yourself and say. Asma, you raise your hand. Go ahead. Asma, can you hear me? Asma and Miss Ilham? What's your favorite way of teaching vocabulary? Miss Teresa said she used or likes using cards. Miss Asma and Miss Ilham, if you want to speak, unmute yourself. Okay. Okay. So let's start. And if you have any question, you can write it in the chat box or unmute yourself and feel free to ask whatever you want. Okay, and Teresa here, I think with elder student dictionary would be great, but I didn't try it, yes. Because I think Teresa, you teach now, you teach young learners. Yeah, of course, we can do some activities using dictionary with the older students. Yes, thank you, Tuta. Yes. Okay. Okay. So let's start. Good evening again. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? Is it clear? Can you see my screen? Could you please unmute yourself? I'm sharing.
We can see you, but your screen at the top right, not very clear.
Okay, I'll share it again. Okay.
Still,
Okay, is it clear now?
the same.
The same?
It's clear, but small area at the top right.
At the top right?
Yes, the full screen video and your screen at the top right.
Ah, okay.
It says good evening, and I can see what is written. Happy teaching vocabulary. It is clear.
Okay, it's clear. So, okay, today, inshallah, we'll talk about and discuss together teaching vocabulary, okay? And I asked at the beginning, what's your favorite way of teaching a vocabulary? And Ms. Teresa shared using cards, especially with the young learners, and she talked about the idea of using the dictionary with young learners. Sorry, with older ones, yes. Okay, today, inshallah, we will start with our agenda or the session outlines today. We will know how does it mean to know a word, what I should put in my mind when I want to explain a word to my students, and make sure that they know this word. And we will know how to illustrate meaning, explain meaning, and what's the difference between them, how to highlight the form of the word, how to involve our learners, and how to put words to work. It's very important to brain work, give my students a chance to think about the word they are learning. And at the end, we will have something like feedback on Padlet. You will have an exit ticket, okay? So let's start with the first point, which is, what does it mean to know a word? Can you guess? What does it mean to know a word? When I say that, I want my students to know the word school, or know the word food, know the word house. So what comes in my mind when I teach my students to make sure that they know this word? As a teacher, what should I put in my mind while teaching vocabulary? Teresa, if you have difficulty with speaking, you can type in the chat box. If you want to speak, of course, speak anytime you want.
Okay, can I speak?
Yeah, sure, as you like.
It means they can reuse it in different situations, expressing what they want.
Yeah, sure, that's right. So to use it, it's very important. Yeah, it's a part of knowing a word, to use it. Yes. Okay. And what should I put in my mind while teaching or introducing a new word to my learners? Yeah, you are right to use it. It's very important to use it. What else? If you want to add anything, Teresa, go ahead. Asma, Ms. Rabab, and Ms. Ilham, feel free to share. Okay, so let's have a look here. When I wanted to teach my students a word, I have to put in my mind that I have to teach them the pronunciation of this word, the meaning of this word, and the form. Again, while teaching a word to my learners, I have to put in my mind these three things: pronunciation, how to say it correctly, how to pronounce it properly in a right way, correctly, the meaning, what's the meaning of this word, and the form, how to write it in letters, how to spell it, okay? So these are the most basic things that I have to teach my students while teaching a word: pronunciation, meaning, and form. Okay, so pronunciation, how I can pronounce it correctly; meaning, the meaning of a word; form, how to write it. Okay, the spelling, how to spell it or write it correctly. Okay, which one comes first? What do you think? Hi, we have another participant here. Mentor, can you tell us your name?
It's me.
Meaning?
I'm Raghda.
Raghda, welcome Raghda. Miss you.
Miss you too.
Okay,
Miss you
welcome
so
Raghda.
much. How are you?
Fine, alhamdulillah. I hope you are fine.
I'm very well. Thank you, Miss Hani.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, Raghda. So this is the first thing we started today. What does it mean to know a word? 3 things to put in our mind while teaching our students a word: the pronunciation of the word, how to pronounce it correctly, the meaning of this word, and the form, how to write it. Okay, so I'm asking now, what comes first?
Meaning.
Who said meaning?
أسماء.
Asma. Okay, thank you, Asma. Rania, you can't hear me. Check your you can press on the mic sign on the phone, okay? And Raghda said pronunciation. What? Okay, what the other? What do you say? Which one is more important? All of them, of course, are important, but which one comes first? Yes, Teresa? You wrote, yes, you said pronunciation.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Okay, so Raghda said pronunciation, Teresa said pronunciation, Asma said meaning. Okay. In fact, the most important one, which comes at the very beginning, is meaning. Imagine that I want to teach my students the meaning of this. What's this? It's
Yes.
a phone. It's supposed to, yeah, it's supposed to hold it up, and or a picture of a phone and say, listen, it's a phone. So suppose here I convey the meaning. So what's this? Phone. So this is the meaning, okay? What about without showing this phone, or without holding up a card and say phone? Does it mean something? What do you think?
Yes, Miss Hannah.
Does it mean something to say phone without holding a phone or holding a card or a picture?
No,
No, it
no,
doesn't
but
mean-
I thought that the first thing that we convey to the students when we teaching them
a word?
vocabulary
Yes.
or a word, we say the word at the first. At first, we say the word.
Yes.
So when we say the word, we must say it correctly, because not to or to avoid the mistakes of the pronunciation. If we say the word incorrectly, it may well stay with them for a long time.
Sure, I totally agree. Yeah.
I thought that we must say it correctly at the first time, or يعني في البداية في أول حاجة يعني.
Yeah, I agree with you, Raghda, with the point that I have to pronounce it correctly because I am a model as a teacher. So the pronunciation will continue with them if it is wrong or right for a time. But here, how can I introduce the pronunciation of a word without introducing the meaning of the word? Yeah, the pronunciation is very important, but it never comes before meaning. I never introduce a word without, I just say the word. Pronunciation means saying the word. So if I want to introduce the word flower, and at the front of the classroom, I say flower, flower, flower. So what they will say, what is flower? Okay, so I have to hold up a card of flower or hold up a flower. It can be real or a plastic one, and say, this is flower. So here I am introducing the meaning first. After that, I check that they pronounce it in a correct way, correctly. Okay, so here, what comes first is meaning.
Meaning, yes.
Yeah, okay, and while introducing or teaching a word, of course, I focus on pronunciation, and I have to check that my students pronounce the word correctly, and we will know how to do that, okay? And after that, I introduce the form to write it on the board, okay? So to sum up this idea, we have three things to put in mind while introducing or teaching a word. Three things: pronunciation, meaning, and form. But what comes first, in fact, is meaning. I have to tell my students the meaning of the word, okay? After that, I check the pronunciation with them. I tell them what's the silent letter here, what's the sound of SH, CH, and so on, okay? So here, how many things that we have to put in my mind while teaching vocab? They are
three.
three, yes. Pronunciation, meaning, and form. What comes first?
Meaning.
Meaning, in fact, yes. And after that comes the pronunciation and the form.
And the form.
Yes. Yeah. And here it's supposed not to be late while teaching the form. Why? Because while writing the word on the board, I have to highlight the silent letters, for example, or some difficult sounds in the word, okay? So it's supposed to come as soon as possible, okay? Because sometimes we keep repeating the word with our students and forget to write the form on the board. So it's supposed to write the meaning after drilling as soon as much as we can, okay? Don't be late, I mean, okay? So let's move to another point, which is how to illustrate meaning. And I'd like you to share your ideas. Okay, imagine that you will have a class about teaching vocabulary, and you have, for example, clothes items, food, transportation, school supplies, seasons, words, weather. So how to illustrate meaning of these words? Can you share your ideas?
From facts.
Teresa said cards, real objects. Yes, yes, Rauda, go ahead.
A real object.
Real object, yes, Asma, that's right. So I can use the real objects. Acting, yes, thank you, Rauda. I can act the word, like, for example, swim. And it works well with action verbs. Yes, thank you, Rauda.
Drawing.
Drawing, yes. Body language, thank you, Tuta. That's right. I can use body language while miming, acting. Yeah. Drawing, yes, Raghda. Use dictionary, yes. And I have to put in my mind, if I use the definition of a word, it's supposed, with the young learner, it's supposed to be simple, friendly definition. Yes, thanks a lot for your participation. And here I suggested some ways of illustrating meaning. Yeah, Teresa wished to use the dictionary one day. I think, yes, you are going. I think if you are going to teach grade 4, I think you can use it, but it's supposed to be friendly definition, simple definition. Okay, so here I have some ways of illustrating meaning, like real objects, realia, pictures, drawings, miming, as you said, TBR, total physical response, flashcards, charts, posters, and models. For example, when I wanted to teach animals, I can't bring real animals in the classroom, so I can bring some models, okay, or toys to teaching such words, okay? So if it is difficult to use real object, I can use other alternatives, pictures, drawing, posters, cards, okay? Okay, I'd like to check the, yes. Yeah, here is another point, which is really great. I think Teresa, yes. I can use songs like Old MacDonald, yes, for example, yes. And here I can teach the animals, yeah, thank you, that's right. Thank you, Teresa. And of course, students love songs. And here they can enjoy and learn in the same time. Many thanks. Yeah, thank you, I love the idea, yes. Okay, so these are ways to illustrate meaning. And here I'd like to ask you, what kind of words I can use these ways to teach? I mean, which words I can teach with real objects, pictures, drawing, flashcards, models? Are they concrete or abstract?
Concrete.
Yes. Yeah, concrete, not abstract. Yes, that's right. Concrete like phone, car, school, desk, table, anything that I can see, smell, hear, touch, and taste. For example, okay? So here, these are the concrete nouns, okay? And of course, while teaching vocabulary, I need drilling and repeating with my students. And here there is suggested way how to, how to teach words. Here an example of teaching clothes. Imagine that you have to teach shirt, jacket, trousers, dress, coat, and socks. It's not a good idea to teach all the words at once. So try to teach 2 or 3 items and review one of them. After that, teach other 2 and review other 2, okay? Here, I think the example here is clear. Present shirt, jacket, trousers. After that, review shirt, trousers. After that, teach dress, review jacket, teach coat, review dress and shirt, and teach socks. So the idea here, it's not a good idea to keep teaching all words at once. So while teaching the words, revise the first word that you teach. Imagine that the first word is shirt, so revise it after 2 or 3 items. Okay, I mean keep reviewing the introduced items, not teach them at once. Okay. Any questions here? Do you have any questions here?
Go ahead, Ms. Hannah.
Okay, so this is the way to illustrate meaning. I mean the concrete words and how to teach the words, but to put in your mind not to teach the words, all the words at once. Try to review the previous items, okay? And let's move to another point. Okay, great. Okay, how to explain meaning. How to explain meaning. It's really different from illustrate meaning. I use visual aid like drawing, posters, flashcards, charts, miming, body language, TBR to illustrate meaning. It's visual to our students. But here another point, which is how to explain meaning. And here I mean how to use the language itself to explain meaning. Suppose that you don't have flashcards, you don't have drawings, you don't have a poster chart, you don't have a real object, okay? So how can you do in this case? And suppose you have to teach your students an abstract word like honesty, truth, any other word that you can't have a card or a real object of it. How can you do that? How can you explain the meaning of the word honest or honesty? Beautiful.
I can put it in a simple sentence, the
Yes.
meaning in a simple sentence as much as I can.
Great.
Simple as much as I can.
Yes, thank you, Raghda. Good idea to say sentence. The sentences are simple to be suitable for my learner's level. Yes. What else? Here I will-
Well, Ali never lies. He is
Honest.
honest.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, and here Miss Rania said, I think here we will, I think Teresa, yes? Okay, Teresa, you will need a dictionary, yes. So the dictionary here give us the definition, and if the definition is difficult or not easy to my students, I have to make it easy. Yeah, that's right. So I can teach this word using a definition, but the definition should be friendly. Okay, and here Miss Rania said a story. Yes, I love that. I can tell a story or a short situation. It can be happen to me. Okay, and through this situation, I can explain the meaning. Thank you, Miss Rania, for sharing. And Miss Ilham, you have something wrong with the voice. It's supposed to press the mic. Okay. And I'd like to tell you we have just 10 minutes because Zoom, we are about to run out of time. So we have 10 minutes. We will start over, okay? So I like all your ideas. Here I prepare the same ideas, providing an example situation like you said, Rania. A story, a short situation that show the meaning of the word. Example sentences, like you said, Raghda. Yes, dramatic acting. Yes, that's right. I can do that. I can act while explaining this word. Yes, I can tell a story, as you said, Rania. Yes, and I can give synonym or antonym. Synonym, the meaning of this word in another way. Okay, so again, synonym means another meaning of this word. And antonym means the opposite. The opposite of this word. What is the opposite of the word I want to teach? What's a word that had the same meaning? Synonym or antonym, yes. Or giving a full definition, like Teresa said, maybe using a simple dictionary, or I, as a teacher, can simplify the definition for my learners to make it simple, okay, for them. Miss Hiba Abd Jawad, I think you raised your hand. If you have anything to share. Okay, so here, this way. Okay, so this word, these ways to explain meaning, and here we call it a verbal means of presentation. A verbal means of presentation because here I use the language. Verbal means using language, so it's not non-verbal. No, it's verbal because I use the language itself to explain the meaning of a word. It can be situation, sentence, the opposite, a full definition, or something that had the same meaning of this word. Okay, and these ways work well with the abstract nouns. Okay, as we said. Okay, so this is for the meaning. This is what we said comes first. So meaning comes first, And here are the ways to illustrate meaning if they are concrete, and explain meaning if they are abstract. Okay, I can't use real objects or visual aids to convey the meaning to my students. Okay, so let's move to the form. How to convey form to my learners. And the form here divided into two forms: spoken form, which is pronunciation, and written form, which is written on the board using spelling and letters. Okay, so the spoken form here, the pronunciation, we have two ways to highlight the form and make it memorable for my learners. Number one, listening drills. And here the teacher himself or herself does the repeating with the repetition. 2 or 3 times are enough. For example, as I said in the beginning, when I want to teach the word phone, I say phone, phone, but here I ask students to just listen. Okay, so here the teacher does the repeating and the students listen, only listen without repeating. Here the student don't repeat, just listen to the teacher. So I'll say phone, 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 2 or 3 things. And here I'm telling my student just to listen. So listen, phone, phone, phone. Okay, so here listening drills, the teacher who does the repeating, not the students. And here it's very important to tell your students not to repeat after you, just listen, because here I'd like to highlight the spoken form, the pronunciation. And here I check that my students will repeat after me the right pronunciation of the word. So this is very important. Don't tell your students to repeat at once while teaching the word. Ask them only to listen without repeating, okay? And just point to them to listen, okay? After that, you will ask your students to repeat after you the new word. You can do that in groups or in groups first, after that individually, okay? So first, if you want to highlight the pronunciation or the spoken form of the word, ask your students to just listen to you. And here you are the model that pronounce the word correctly in a good way, in a right way. They listen, after that they start to repeat after you in groups or individually. And here you can highlight the form, okay? So here you can focus that chair. So here you focus that CH is pronounced, they are pronouncing ch. So here you highlight the spoken form or the pronunciation, okay? This is for pronunciation. What about the written form? After drilling or doing the oral drills with your students, you write it in the board and highlight if there are misspelling mistakes or something irregular in the word, like the word right. Here we have GH are silent. Tell your student that we have silent letters here, like the word island, we have silent is here, okay? And some of words have something like assimilation. When I say the word handbag, handbag, while repeating the word, I'm focusing on the spoken form, I say handbag, handbag, handbag. They can't imagine that this is H-A-N-D, okay? Because they listen to you saying handbag, because we have assimilation here, handbag, handbag. So after checking that they pronounce it correctly, handbag, write it on the board and get their attention that this word pronounces H-A-N-D-B-A-G. Yeah, and highlight that pronounce handbag, handbag, okay? So these are ways to highlight the form, whether it is spoken or written, okay? Any questions here? Do you have any questions? Again, do you have any questions? Okay, to move to another point. Okay, you can type in the chat box if you don't want to speak. So till now we know what does it mean to know a word. We have 3 items: form, meaning, and pronunciation. And we know how to explain and illustrate meaning, and how to highlight the form, whether it is spoken or written. Any questions so far? Do you have any questions? Okay, so let's move to another point. Okay, we have less than 1 minute because the time is running out. Okay, here we will discuss together how to involve learners in the presentation. So again, points that we talked about, illustrating meaning or explaining meaning, highlighting the form, the teacher doing everything here. But if I want to engage my student in my presentation, can you suggest any way to
مش متى